We are back in this YouTube gig. Let's see how well this goes. I am chronically unemployed. Not chronically unemployed. Right now I'm just doing a lot of freelancing. I'm trying to get my life together. I am working extremely hard to do that. It's been a journey. I am going to keep it all the way real. It's definitely been a journey, but we have been working it out. But today I wanted to talk about, what did I want to talk about? Thank God we have a lot of space on my memory card. I'm gonna get more comfortable. Love, identity, and the complexities of being black and queer in a world that often doesn't reflect us. Specifically, let's dive into the relationships of some of our most visible black queer celebrities and what that means for us. Now, I know this can be a somewhat heavy topic, but it is something that has been on my mind, and I think it could be productive if we unpack it together. So let's start with Laverne Cox. Laverne Cox is a trailblazer for trans visibility. She recently shared a personal chapter that left many in our community questioning. In her one-woman show, Girl, How Did I Get Here? That's actually the name of the show. She revealed she had been in a relationship with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed MAGA Republican voter who is a New York City police officer for nearly 4 years. Let's cue the quote from Laverne Cox. She met him on Tinder, and when they started dating, she didn't really know his political views or his profession. She emphasized that the relationship was rooted in a deep emotional connection and personal growth, but she ultimately ended it due to misaligned values. How I feel about this is, I don't know. I'm going to speak about this more as we get deeper into this topic, but I think the number one issue is proximity. When these celebrities are in Hollywood, they don't necessarily have access to black queer people because they're surrounded by white people. But I don't know if this really applies to Laverne's case, because she did fall in love with a MAGA cop, and I don't necessarily think a MAGA cop would be in Hollywood either. But she recently did an interview with Olay and Friends where our community was essentially attacking her for finding love, and her rebuttal was basically
but the love I felt and the love that we shared, I had three and a half blissful years. Blissful. And then when it went wrong quickly, and I got out fairly quickly. 6 months, I could have gotten out 6 months earlier, but and I want to hold on to that. Real love that is transformative, that is healing. I have so much, as a trans woman, I have had so much trauma, being fetishized, being objectified, just growing up feeling unlovable, that I didn't even deserve love, connection, belonging.
And I resonate with this a bit. As a black queer person who toes the line between femininity and masculinity often, I do feel like the more I am in touch with my feminine side and my queerness and what could be my transness, the more invisible I am to black men. And it might be a generalization, but sometimes I just feel like black men don't see me. And so I kind of sympathize with Laverne Cox. I'm like, well, if there's a white man who actually loves her for her, and that's all that she has proximity to, then I don't really I see the problem with him being a MAGA cop, but I don't see the problem with her wanting to find love outside her race when she can't really find it in her race, if that makes sense. And it might not. Y'all can fight me in the comments, but yeah, I think as a black queer community, we often are overlooked by the no fats, no femmes part of our community. And yeah, it can be disheartening, and sometimes it makes you think, well, maybe I should just go out with a white man. I probably would have a better experience than niggas dogging me out all the time. I might cut that out. But I don't know, with Laverne's situation, I'm gonna say it's okay. I think, she doesn't necessarily have to appease people with her dating the decision. Next, we have Billy Porter. Known for his unapologetic presence, he married Adam Smith in 2017, but their relationship ended in 2023. Porter has been candid about the challenges of being a black queer man in the spotlight, navigating love and identity in a world that often demands conformity. Being black and gay in Hollywood is like being a unicorn, but finding love, that's a whole other beast. Billy Porter has made some questionable decisions recently, which has definitely made queer folks and straight folks drag him a little bit on the internet. I am a fan of Billy Porter because I did work with them on Pose. I was an extra. That was the best $100 I ever made in my life. And Billy Porter was super sweet and very easy to talk to. He came up to all of us and complimented our outfits. But I think it's the same thing. Somebody like Billy Porter, someone who presents in a very feminine way or a gender non-conforming way, I think it would be hard to find love with a black man who would absolutely and 100% accept them for who they are. I think our community is dealing with a lot of trauma around masculinity that has deep roots in our history and in our culture, and so sometimes it is not easy to navigate that. Do I think dating a white man is giving up trying to find black love? Yes and no. I think you can date a white man once and then go and find black love, black queer love specifically, but also I do get the anger because it's a pattern in Hollywood where black queer folks are not choosing black partners, and there's very few examples of that, and that's what black, queer, gay, and trans folks need to see. They need to see that black love is possible at the highest level, but I don't necessarily blame Billy Porter for finding love in the world that often doesn't love queer folks. Next up is Frank Ocean. Frank Ocean is an enigmatic, that's a big word for Elmo. He has long kept his love life under wraps. However, recent photos with UFC fighter Peyton Talbot have reignited rumors about his relationships. He's also been pictured with Omar Apollo and other little random white boys around Soho. Word on the street is that he really is into white boys. But yeah, it's like the level of fame that he's at. Of course, there will be public scrutiny about his public choices, and that will be put in the limelight. But Frank Ocean kind of rubs me the wrong way. I'm not gonna hold you. Ever since that Coachella set where he was giving us nothing, I was like, he really does not give a fuck about his fans like that. He could have been dropped a single or something, and even if he was a black man, I would be like, girl, are you okay? He is one of my favorite artists. He's extremely talented. I would love to work with him, which will probably never happen. I do think with Frank Ocean, it's a choice. Frank Ocean is one of those black men who don't see other black men as romantic interest. He's possibly always trying to find something a bit more exotic that he has access to because of his fame and his wealth. I do get this vibe that Frank Ocean never really thinks about black men romantically. And I'm judging, I don't know him at all, but that's the general vibe that he gives off. And if a black man was to try to date him, they would be competing with white model twinks. But I sound super judgy. I'm wondering if that's okay, because I keep relating it to my own experience. Should I go deeper? Next we have Jerrod Carmichael. In his special Roteño, Jerrod delves into his experiences as a black man, a black queer man in the entertainment industry. He touches on the complexities of relationships and the expectations placed upon him by his community and the public. I'm sure a lot of you have seen his show on HBO, and that show was very eye-opening because he basically had cameras filming him having a train wreck. It was very revealing to see his love life and specifically who he loves. For example, he was infatuated with Tyler the Creator, which I found that out to be very endearing because I definitely have had situations where I was in love with someone who was like a best friend type. It was very cathartic to see him go through that level of rejection because I've been there. But I think it was also a bit humiliating to see how much he was willing to give these random white guys that he met on Grindr. It was very disturbing to see him invite a white man that he just met to the Emmys with him. And I often wonder if that was a black dude at a bar, would he get invited to the Emmys? I think the black dude at the bar would probably be left on red. There's a certain level of prestige that some black men in Hollywood get when they're able to access white men, where they place them on a pedestal. His whole dialogue about his white boyfriend is so disturbing because on The Breakfast Club, he tried to defend this joke that he made about race play, and
you played a clip of my stand-up, but it started at the punchline and it like completely erased the setup of it, and I really don't like that. It made it seem like I was talking like I'm into some type of race, sexual, slavery role play with my boyfriend, which is untrue. It's so false. And I expect that type of thing from TMZ because they have no humanity. They don't care about like, the people that get hurt when they report these sort of things. But you're a friend, so I really didn't like that. I know you repeated it in the Neil interview. I didn't like that.
No matter how many ways he tried to spin it, it was still a joke that he made about race play. The fact that he exalts his white boyfriend in a way, I don't necessarily think he would ever have those types of discussions about a black boyfriend. I don't necessarily think he would commit to a black man in the way that he has committed to this white man. I think that says a lot about how we as black queer folks relate to whiteness, especially when we get into positions of power. There's so many ways that we can open up our lives to our own community, and one of those ways includes loving us openly. And when you get to a position that Jerrod Carmichael is at, a choice is being made to put a white man on a pedestal, aka invite them to the Emmys, aka move a white man in that you met off a dating app into your $1 million home, when you could have found any of the baddest black men around you and did the same to them. I think in his case, there is a tinge of bias that is being exalted by him having power and money. Regardless, I am not here to judge. I don't know him. I don't know any of these people. And love is love. Next up is Coleman Domingo. Coleman Domingo is, of course, an acclaimed and super talented actor and playwright, and he has been in a long-term relationship with his husband, Raul. Their journey together reflects the possibilities of love that transcends racial boundaries and challenging expectations. Raul is a very handsome non-black man. Let me just double check what he looked like. Raul is a very handsome white Latino, and he looks like a super great guy. What I said earlier, it's about proximity, but it's also about making a choice. There's other black people, I'm sure, that is in his DMs and other black people that he matched with on Tinder. But when it comes to actually giving a title of a boyfriend or giving a title of a lover or a partner, when it comes to people with money and status, there is a pattern, specifically in these cases that I talked about, that they're willing to give it to someone who is lighter or white, and they're willing to give that quickly. Whereas with another black man, they probably would have to be put through the ringer, honey. As someone who has often found myself chronically single, I've grappled with the ideas of black love in the realities of personal connection. My experiences have been shaped by trauma and the desire for authenticity in my relationships. And for me, there were times where I believed in the sanctity of black love, but the scars of past relationships, it has made me question what black love truly means, especially for a queer person. And it's been a journey of healing, understanding, and figuring out what love actually looks like to me. And I think that trauma comes from these kind of unspoken rules about black masculinity, and these rules weren't just about like how to walk or how to talk. They were also about survival. about fitting into a mold that the world had crafted for me. Even before I knew who I was, the tools were often shaped by a society that told us softness and a black boy was dangerous. And that danger is not physical, it's often emotional, it's often spiritual. And, you know, I just am at a point where I don't want to erase that part of me that needs to be nurtured. And I think love isn't just about affection, it's about acceptance. It's about embracing all the parts of ourselves, the soft, the strong, the vulnerable, the fierce, the feminine, the masculine. But it's also a battlefield, especially in 2025, navigating the whole no fats, no femmes, mindfuck, and then the apps, and sometimes it cuts deep. So I guess this video is like for all black queer folks who aren't seeing that black queer love is a possibility, especially in Hollywood, where all these beautiful, talented black men are picking white partners or light-skinned partners. I think this is a message for us to understand that regardless, we can redefine what love looks like. And yeah, Hollywood is weird. That's the moral of today's video. My name is Kyle J. Atwater. You can learn more about me at kylej.com. Please subscribe, please follow, and if this video resonated with you, share it. You can Venmo me at Kyle Atwater, KILEATWATER. I'm trying to get more active on YouTube because I need another source of income. And maybe it will work out. I don't know. Bye.